everyone, welcome back to Nika's Kitchen. Always glad to have you guys. It is a cold, wet day here in Tennessee, which means it's a good day for chili and a good day for canning. So we're gonna do both today. Right off the bat, I'm gonna give you a screenshot of what we're doing. Well, you can get a screenshot of it if you want. This is turkey chili. I much prefer, I much prefer the taste of canned turkey over canned beef. Ground beef anyway. I don't know what it is. Like, the beef, I think it changes a little bit after you process it. The turkey, I can't really tell a difference though, especially in the chili. Not to mention, I think that we went to Sam's this morning and I bought a bulk case of ground turkey because I'm going to can a lot of other recipes with it. But I think the ground turkey was $2.42 a pound, and I think ground beef is like, it's over. Even like the cheapy fatty stuff is like over $3 a pound right now. So we did $2.42 a pound for ground turkey. I guess it might be healthier. I don't know. I just prefer it in my canning. And we'll add some stuff to this chili too. You can't really even tell it's turkey. Most people I feed it to don't even know it's turkey. But without any further ado, we'll just jump right in. I'll show you how I cook it first, and then once we get it all cooked up, we'll jump to the canning part. I made this recipe a lot, just like full disclosure. I play it pretty fast and loose with this recipe. I did a lot of stuff just to taste. Like, if you make this, I highly recommend you do. It's a good chili, especially like I said, if you're kind of trying to be a little bit cheaper, you maybe use some cheaper proteins. I don't think I mentioned we are going to triple this recipe just so we have enough to can. Well, have enough worth canning. If you notice, my recipe called for 1 pound of ground turkey. Sam sells them in these 2.5 pound containers. I'm just going to use that instead of the whole 3 pounds. It'll be fine. There's going to be some beans in there. It'll still be a hearty chili. I'm going to turn this up. Add a little bit of oil. And we're going to start off by browning our turkey. Just dump it all in there. I'll use this nifty little device to chop it all up. If you guys don't have one of these things, it's fine. A spatula would 100% work fine. This is just a totally stupid, unnecessary little tool that I love, especially for like this big batch cooking when I'm canning. I feel like it does a better job. Okay. Although the meat does get stuck in it, I don't like that. But while that's browning, I'm going to go ahead and cut up my peppers and onions. So I took a break from chopping my veggies, and I measured out all my seasonings. See, that's the bulk of it is chili powder. But since my turkey is just about browned, I'm going to go ahead and just dump all these in. I think it was America's Test Kitchen that I heard you're supposed to kind of saute or cook your spices instead of just, like adding it all to the liquid. And they seem like they know what they're doing, so that's what we're going to do. And if you notice, I didn't even bother draining my turkey. It is so lean. I don't even think it's not worth the hassle for me to drain it. Alright, we'll let that cook for just a little bit. Oh, goodness. We'll let that cook for just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to finish chopping up my peppers and onions, and then we'll add all that to the pot. Whew, those spices will definitely open up your sinuses. They're making my nose run. The onions got my eyes watered. I'm a mess. Oh, give y'all, before we add our veggies, I'll give y'all a close up. Make sure you can see it. Look how well seasoned our turkey is. So that's another reason I'm not afraid to use ground turkey in this recipe. It's so heavily seasoned, you can't even tell it's turkey. I've got two honkin' Sam's Club onions and 3 green bell peppers in this. I didn't have any of the colored bell peppers. Whoops. I don't have any of the colored bell peppers, but it's fine. I'm just going to add some of the green. It'll still turn out well. And then I'm just going to put a little, I don't know, we'll do a teaspoon of this pre-minced garlic. Some of this stuff. Yeah, there we go. All right, give it all a stir here. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to bump you. Whoops, almost let my turkey get too cooked. Or go too long without stirring. Be careful of that. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna let this cook for just a little while. I'm not too concerned with my veggies getting real soft and tender because the pressure canner will do that for me. Make sure that job gets done. But while this cooks a little while, I'm gonna go ahead and drain my kidney beans and get those ready to dump in. I've got 4 cans of rinsed and drained kidney beans right here. I always just use the already canned beans for this chili, even when I'm going to can it again. They do fine. I've never had issues with the beans going mushy or anything. And then the chili beans, I just get the cheap generic brand. I don't drain them though. I like all the chili sauce. Alright, and I've got 2 more cans of kidney beans to rinse and drain. And usually I'll mash those up a little bit so I can get a better, kind of like a thicker chili. You don't want it too thick though when you're going to can it. Oh goodness, yeah, let's get those in. So we've got the remainder of our beans. You see I mashed some of them up. You can use a potato masher or just use your hands if you're an animal like me. It's all good. Now, if you're using the beef broth, I think it calls, remember we're tripling the recipe, so I would need 9 cups of beef broth. But today I'm going to use a better than bouillon, so I'm not going to add as much liquid. If I'm using the beef broth, I'll add all the broth and I'll cook the chili for a few hours and kind of cook it down so I can still have that beef flavor. But since I can just add more bouillon, I'm going to do 8 cups of water. Oh, I was starting to worry I picked the wrong pot for this, but I think we're good. I think we're going to be all right. I think I had 8 cups of water, and I think I need 4 teaspoons of the bouillon, if I'm doing my math right, which is not guaranteed. There we go. 1, 2. Man, let's see. It's making me look. 3. And these are, I like a good beefy taste, so these are pretty generous teaspoons. So I'm going to bring this to a boil just so my bouillon will dissolve, and there we go. Oh, and I almost forgot my secret ingredient. Liquid smoke. I really like the flavor this gives the chili. And I just kind of eyeball it. Looks pretty good. Give it a good stir. Oh, we're getting full. We'll see what this looks like. I may wind up adding another cup of chili. Like I said earlier, or another cup of water, sorry. Like I said earlier, when you're canning, you don't want it super thin or super thick. If I was just making this just to serve, I would probably cook this down. I'd let it boil for, well, probably simmer for a few hours and let it cook down and thicken up. But when you can it, it's going to thicken up during the processing time. And if it's too thick, it may not, properly heat through and kill all the bad bacteria and stuff. And it can also more likely burn. So I'm going to let it simmer for a little bit and kind of come together, and I'll taste it, see what it needs. And then we'll get to canning. At this point, I've tasted my chili and I'm happy with the flavor. The peppers and onions are still a little crunchy. Like I said, I would let this, if I'm making it to serve it now, well, if I'm making it to serve it tonight, rather, I would let this simmer for a few hours, let the flavors kind of blend a little better, make sure all those peppers and onions are more tender, but the pressure canner is going to take care of all that for us. I'm just filling up some pint-sized jars to about 1 inch of headspace. I'll go back there and I'll add a little more of the broth to some of these. Also, Sean and I like these a lot for lunch. So, these are some jalapenos. I've added in about half of them. We like that extra kick. but the rest of them are going to be fairly mild. Chili itself has a little bit of kick, not a whole lot, since my kids do eat this too, so I don't go too crazy on the spicy. But the jalapenos give it a nice kick for me and Sean.
Baby was getting a little fussy at this point, so I'm going to switch over to a voiceover. I've got all my jars filled up to 1 inch of headspace. Now I'm just going back through and debubbling. Make sure I don't have any bubbles hiding in there. Just want to make sure when you do this step to make sure you maintain your headspace. Sometimes you'll have to add or take away a little bit based off what you end up with after you get done debubbling. We'll skip ahead to the next step. Once you've debubbled all of your jars, you'll want to go through with a clean, wet towel, or in my case, I usually just grab a paper towel, and wipe all the rims of your jars. You want to completely clean, that way your lids can actually adhere to your jars. I usually just use water, but unless I'm canning something really fatty, like a pork butt or something, I'll grab the vinegar. That's another option. But just as long as your rims are clean, you're good to go. Once the rims are all wiped off, the next step is to place your lids on top. I usually just put all my lids on first, and then I go back and I'll put on the rings. When you put on the rings, you want to just do fingertip tight. And what that means is you don't want to put any of your wrist into it. Only use your fingertips. If you tighten them too much, then the lids will buckle and you don't get a good seal.
So I've got my All-American pressure canner here. My jars are all set and ready to go, so I'm just going to load them up. I've got 2 inches of water in the bottom of my canner as well as my canning rack. And we actually wound up with 14 jars, which I'm pretty pleased with. So we will stack these, no problem there. Go. I think my canner holds 18 pint jars, so we'll have plenty of room, but we'll have to get the second canning rack out. And I will have enough to fill the top all the way, but I just kind of offset them so it's sort of even. Well, as even as possible. There we go. Alright, next we'll get a little bit of oil. I just have my avocado oil laying around. And we'll just do a quick swap around the rim here. There we go. Next comes the lid. So you want, oh goodness, this little hook, it goes right under this little lip right here, and you've got a little arrow, and it should line up with the little indentation right there as well. Can you guys want a closer look? So we've got our little arrow lined up right here. This is hooked into place, feels pretty sturdy. We're gonna loosely tighten our, clamps, is what we're gonna call them. And you want to do them opposite each other. Never tighten one at a time. Otherwise, you're going to have a leak. And you'll know if your lid's not on right if you start getting steam. Whenever you try to come up to pressure, you'll get steam coming out around your lid, and you won't be able to come up to pressure. Alright, now we go back through and tighten. There we go. I kind of glance around, make sure all my little threads are fairly equal. Those look pretty good. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we want to, I'm not a patient woman, so I usually just crank it up on high. If I have hot food in here, if I'm cold packing, I might take it a little bit slower. But what we're wanting to do is bring this thing up. You'll hear the water boiling, and then you'll see a steady stream of steam coming up out of here, and you do that, you just let it steam for about 10 minutes. We are definitely steaming. I'm not going to do anything to the canner, I'm just going to set a timer for 10 minutes. 10-minute timer is up. Ooh, that popped. 10-minute timer is up. We're going to put on our weight. Woo. For my elevation, I need 15 pounds of pressure. You can consult your pressure canner manual, and it'll tell you where you are based on your altitude, or what you need based on your altitude. But now all we're going to do is we're going to wait on our pressure gauge to come all the way to 15. I'm going to turn down my heat after that, and then we'll start our processing time. Alright, we got our jiggling going on. Just right at 15. This will tear off. I'll go ahead and turn it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to set my timer for 75 minutes. It's 75 minutes for if you're processing anything with meat in it in pint jars. So we're going to let it, I'm not going to do anything else to it. This will calm down once my heat turns down a little bit. It should only jiggle every a few times every minute. So our canner, as you can see, it is down to 0. I want to take my weight off and just give it a few minutes. It is hot, so I'm just going to do this number. Oh, I got angry, baby. But I'm going to give this a few minutes to make sure the pressure is completely down before I open it up. I let my canner sit for just a few more minutes to make sure my pressure was all the way down. And then I undid the lid the same way I put it on. Oh, you can already hear my jars popping. I'm glad. My lids. But I undid the lid the same way I put them on. I just kind of undid the locks diagonally, you know, across from each other. You want to do those two at a time as well. But if you can see, you see some of them boiling. That's usually a good sign. It usually means that they're going to seal for me. You can probably leave these for, I don't know, some people say up to 24 hours. I'll check them before I go to bed tonight. About 5:30 now. So probably by 10 o'clock if any of them haven't sealed, I'll just put them in the fridge and we'll eat them tomorrow. I'll give y'all an update probably tomorrow. It's the next morning and here's the end results. The batch that we did together yielded 14 pints. One of them didn't seal. It's in the fridge. I'll probably have it for lunch probably tomorrow. I realized it hadn't sealed. I checked them last night before bed, and I found the one that hadn't sealed, and I put it in the fridge before bed, so it'll be safe to eat. But the rest of them, I just check them. I just lift up the jar lids like that. And I mean, that's sealed. It's not going anywhere. And I actually did another batch. I tripled the recipe again, and it yielded 6 quarts. So depending on what you want to do, if you triple the recipe I gave you, you'll wind up with about 6 quarts or 14 pints. We like these for lunch, but obviously these are better for a dinner. Big dinner to feed the family. But if y'all like this video, if you want, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos like this. Give you some more ideas for like meals in a jar and just easy dinner sitting on your shelf. But thanks for coming and seeing me, and hope y'all come back and do it again.